Good morning and welcome back to another episode. Today we are going to take a quick look at C Limited. They just announced a proposed offering which has the stock price down about 5.64%. So in today's episode I want to take a closer look at how much money they're raising, what they're using that money for, and I also just want to take a quick look at their fundamentals and what has happened historically in some other offerings from C Limited. So if this is your first time here, guys, make sure to hit the thumbs up, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and let's get started with today's episode. So C Limited, for those not familiar, if this is your first time tuning in, this is about my number 3 top position in my portfolio right now, and it has done amazing, right? I've been in C Limited for a very long time. In the overall, I want to say 100 levels, lower than 140 for sure. I entered in July of 2020. So C Limited is one of my top position, has gotten there through gains and for me just pure investment. Right now the stock price is down about 5.6% pre-market and sitting at 324 levels. Just because it is a big position in my portfolio, it doesn't mean that I'm 100% always bullish. It's funny, most of my companies, I'm what I call short-term bearish and long-term bullish. And what I mean by that is in the short term, I believe there's going to be a lot of volatility. Sometimes that volatility can bring a lot of negativeness in the stock price, and that's what's happening right now. But in the long term of things, I think C Limited is still very cheap company for the next 5 years to come. So like I mentioned, one thing I have been seeing is C Limited. If we take a quick look at technicals, I'm not much of a technicals guy. I do more fundamentals, but this company was a bit overextended, right? We can see it's been overextended from its moving averages in the time frames I do. Right now the stock price is sitting around right here pre-market. We can see I believe the stock price is still overextended and there might be a chance of a bit more of a pull down, and we're going to take a quick look historically at what happens when there is an offering. But yesterday, September 9th, C Limited announced a proposed offering of ADS, and they're also doing convertible notes. If we take a quick look, they are expected to do about 11 million shares of ADS. That is a little bit over $3 billion. It was around 3.5, 3.6 at current prices right now. The other thing is they are doing an offering of about $2.5 billion. So total, they're raising up about a little bit over $6 billion at the moment. And the only thing they really tell us about this offering is the company plans to use the net proceeds from the offerings for business expansion. That's something we've been talking a lot. I think yesterday I did an episode of kind of C Limited expanding into Europe, and last week I did an episode on C Limited expanded into India. So they need that cash right now for all this global expansion that they're doing. So I believe this is a great move. And they're also planning on using it on another general corporate purposes or traditional stuff, including potential strategic investment acquisitions. I don't foresee them doing much of an acquisitions. I believe it's more for just overall expansions, but if they do acquisitions, these are probably my top 2 acquisition purposes. The first one would be some form of gaming studio. Maybe they want to increase their overall gaming platforms and games they offer. Or the second thing is working with the e-commerce platform, maybe some company that has some stronger infrastructure set up in some of these European countries that they're looking to enter into to make their access and to make their overall shipment stuff a little bit easier. So those would be the 2 main markets that I believe C Limited will enter. Now let's take a quick look at how things have looked at in the past when C Limited has done offerings. But first, let's take a quick listen to today's sponsor, a great reason why I'm able to provide so much content to you guys for free. I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. The Motley Fool is a company that provides investing insight and stock recommendations for investors of all skill sets and risk levels. You guys know I love finding new investing tools and resources to help me scout out new growth stocks. And right now I have a discount for one of my favorite services The Fool offers. Through The Motley Fool Stock Advisor services, you get access to a ton of expert stock picks. Every month you'll get 2 new picks that are aimed at growing your wealth and to help you realize your financial goals. Stock Advisor's average stock picks have done amazing returns. If growing your money is something you'd like to do more of this year, you can visit fool.com/Jose Najarro or click on the link below for access to my special offer and decide if the Stock Advisor is right for you. Thanks again to The Motley Fool, and now onto today's video. So if we take a quick look, I just want to, before we look at what has happened, I want to take a quick look at fundamentals for C Limited. Right now, if we take a look at trailing 12 months, C Limited is not positive in earnings. They are positive in cash flow from operations, though. They make money from their everyday business right there. This is a company growing at crazy levels. So, I mean, with all these headlines of expansions into new countries, with the company kind of growing at crazy levels, you would expect an offering, right? I would say I'm not surprised of the offering at all, because in all the companies that I have, those that are growing at crazy levels, I highly expect some form of offering for them to build up their cash and continue that heavy growth. So for stuff like that, right, this is why I even though the stock price has dropped about 5%, I have no worries about it, right? This is something that I plan when I invest in high growth companies. A lot of forms of offerings, maybe senior notes, other forms of dilution in any ways. This is something I expect already when investing in high growth companies. And we can see this company right now is profitable, is positive in cash flow from operations. So that's very good. If we take a look at their balance sheet right now, they have about $5.6 billion in cash and short-term investments. And they have about $1.3 billion in debt. With those senior notes, that debt will increase a bit by about $2.5 billion. But overall cash and short-term positions will be over $12 billion. This company will have plenty of cash to continue its expansion. And again, I'm very happy of it. I do believe in the short term, it will create more of a bearish noise. I think the price can go a bit lower, and this is why. I first believe Twitter is such a great tool. Just taking a quick look at what's happening, there was this great post here by this person you can see on the right. Well, we can see, right, the offering that they did on December 20th, December 8th was the kind of high at the moment. It was $205. They announced the offering the following day on December 9th, which was a little bit lower, $202. And the next day after that, December 10th, they kind of announced the actual price. So continue for the next few days, the stock price kind of gave you better buying opportunities. And December 15th, 2020, it closed at $188 before making some form of U-turn. So I'm not saying the similar stuff will happen that is going to give us better buying opportunities, but December 15th at $188, those were great prices, right? Definitely great prices. Looking at this company right now sitting at over $300. So I do believe it could bring some form of short-term negativity in the stock price, especially once we hear the overall follow-on pricing that they're gonna give, and that might be announced today or tomorrow. But regardless, I do believe this will continue to give us better buying opportunities at these levels. This is just me, right? Maybe it's just my bias that I already have a big position at these levels. Even if it drops to the 300 levels, I personally would only buy with the dollar cost averaging strategy of entering a little bit over time. For me, right, like I mentioned, my overall cost basis is pretty low, but I still believe C Limited is a stock I wouldn't mind owning in my portfolio, even at these levels, and something that I personally wouldn't go in with the big position at once, but that dollar cost averaging strategy is something I would really be into. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Take care, have a good night, and see you next time.